as a skinny 18-year-old shortstop in 1974. In the next 20 seasons, Yount won the AL MVP at 2 positions, hit 300 or better 6 times, and became the 3rd youngest player to reach the 3,000 hit plateau.
Now's the time where I'm supposed to wake up from all of this. I mean, it's okay. It's been a great dream. But if in fact this is reality, then with all due respect, Mr. Gehrig, today I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
George Brett debuted in Kansas City in 1973 as a 3rd baseman. Brett is the only major leaguer to ever win batting crowns in 3 different decades. And then he capped off his spectacular 21-year career by becoming the 18th member of the 3,000 hit fraternity, a goal that came from humble expectations.
To my brothers, you know, sometimes I wonder why all this has happened to me and not you. All I ever wanted to do was be as good as you.
Other inductees, Orlando Cepeda, who had 379 homers and was a league MVP in 1967. Smokey Joe Williams, he pitched for 20 years in the Negro Leagues. Frank Sealy was one of the most successful managers in National League history. And the late Nestor Shylock is the 8th ump to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Coming up on Baseball Tonight, Mike Piazza will try to help the Mets continue their climb in the NL East. New York has won 4 games in a row. And there was nothing sweet about Lou as the Mariners took on the Twins. What happened?
Quote, during my reign from 1969 to 1984, I think I inducted about 70 players, something I'm very proud of. But this is the greatest group going in at one time. The inaugural class of 1936, which featured Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb, was certainly impressive, but the group of Nolan Ryan, George Brett, and Robin Yount can certainly hold their own with the best of all time. Nick Charles has more from Cooperstown.
They began gathering in this open meadow a full day in advance. By Sunday afternoon, the green grass had become a blanket of people. Baseball fans who, by their sheer record numbers, were proof that despite the game's occasional headaches, the national pastime was alive and well.
And not you. All I ever wanted to do was be as good as you.
Nolan Ryan described himself as just a man with ability and dedication. He was much more, though, playing 27 years in the majors, more than anyone in history, striking out over 5,700, throwing 7 no-hitters. His message on the mound was a frightening fastball. Sunday from the podium, his words were much softer.
Baseball life's a tough life on your family. And to be able to play as long as I did and have the support that I had from my family, I can't tell you how much that means to me.
Robin Yount was an everyday major leaguer by age 18 and a Milwaukee Brewer start to finish. In 20 years, he produced over 3,000 hits and won 2 MVPs, excelling at 2 of baseball's most challenging positions.
Now's the time where I'm supposed to wake up from all of this. I mean, it's okay. It's been a great dream. But if in fact this is reality, then with all due respect, Mr. Gehrig, today I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Orlando Cepeda's career spanned 17 years and took him to 6 teams, beginning as Rookie of the Year with the Giants in 1958 and on to the Cardinals, where he was NL MVP in 1967, the only player in history to be a unanimous selection for both awards.
I'm a very lucky person to be born with the skills to play baseball. Through baseball, I escaped from Puerto Rico. I escaped poverty. Through baseball, I built a name for myself.
Cepeda, Yount, Ryan, and Brett. All of them spoke with humility and affection for those who influenced them. For each of them, though, it began years ago with the wonderful discovery that they had a gift, talents they sharpened to a fine point. Now we know the mark they leave will be indelible because they will live forever in the hearts of baseball fans everywhere and in the Hall of Fame. In Cooperstown, New York, I'm Nick Charles.
Here's an interesting footnote on the class of 1999. Excluding the inaugural year of 1936, the baseball writers have never elected 3 players appearing on the ballot for the first time in a given year. Only 29 players have gotten in on their first try. Among those who failed to do it, and this is a very impressive list, Cy Young, Joe DiMaggio, and Rogers Hornsby. 7 men get into the Hall on Sunday, and Joe Williams, Frank Seeley, and Nestor Chilak were inducted posthumously by the Veterans Committee. Williams' best season was back in 1914, when his record was a staggering 41-3 in the Negro League. Seeley managed the Boston Braves to 5 pennants in the 1890s, while Chilak is the 17th umpire to be inducted into the Hall.
Randy Johnson and Kevin.
There's 3 o'clock on the road, 4 o'clock at home. But Charlie, thank you so much for molding me as a ball player and making today possible. I ran into little Charlie yesterday, and he gave me this New York Yankee ring to wear. Charlie, I can't do it. I don't like those Yankees still. Growing up, sometimes I misunderstood your tough and dominant ways, Dad. But as I've grown up, I have realized what your goals were. For me and my brothers, never to be content and to be tough competitors.
As Brett and Robin Yount shared the stage in Cooperstown, they've also shared some other things in their lives as well. Their numbers are somewhat similar. One of George's sons shares the same name as Robin Yount. Brett, was named after his father's good friend. Checking out Brett's former team, it's the Royals against the A's, top of the 3rd, tied at 2, and Dan Reichart lets in 2 free ones. Here comes one, and here comes the other. Play at the plate, not going to get him. 4-2 A's. Bottom of the 3rd, Joe Rand, a 3-run jack. We are tied up at 5 apiece. Go to the top of the 4th, 6-5 A's. John Jaha up with the bases loaded. Potential there for a grand slam. And he's got it. 6th career grand slam, 10-5 A's. Here come the Royals, though. We go to the bottom of the 9th, 11-10. Scott Pose should have ended the game right here. Instead, he gets some help in the field. And we are all tied up at 11 despite that out at the plate. So we have some extra baseball. There is Jermaine Dye, and that is a 2-run homer. And that is going to do it. George Brett goes in the Hall of Fame, and the Royals win. Big day in Kansas City, but they're having a big party on the plaza right now. 13-11 is your final in 10 innings. George Brett, who worked with Kansas City in spring training, was making his Hall of Fame induction speech as the Royals fell behind 11-5 in the 6th inning. Of the comeback, Royals third baseman Joe Rand said, quote, "Hopefully he'll see the score and see we came back and got